And we did get the black pieces. Okay. Jumping into another rapid game. E4. What should we play? So many options. So many options. Ooh, French there, McMaster. Okay. All right. Well, everyone else was too slow. You got it, McMaster. A French for you. The exchange French. All right. This is known as the low testosterone opening. So the exchange French, I have a few recommendations if your opponent is just kind of going basic moves, but I'll ignore those just for the moment because White's immediately developed his queen, which is basically a serious mistake. Of course, White can make this work, but if I see this as the fourth move of the game and the first piece you're developing is your queen, I can already assume that there might be more mistakes to come. So after queen e2, I want to be a little bit careful here. The first thing is I don't want to go queen e7 because that's very boring. What are we going to do? Just trade queens? The other thing is if I play knight e7, then it ruins my development. Like, it doesn't make any sense to put my knight in the way of my pieces. So I don't like knight e7. And if I play bishop e7, bishop g5, if I go knight f6 there, I have to take with the pawn because my bishop is pinned. So bishop e7, bishop g5. I kind of have to either let this happen or I have to play f6. And I have to be honest, neither one of those looks particularly appetizing. So I think I'm either going to play bishop e6 or bishop e7, bishop g5, and then bishop e6. I think I'm pretty much decided on bishop e7. If not for many other reasons, I think the fact that queen b5 exists is already enough to dissuade bishop e6. So process of elimination, I think I kind of have to play this. I mean, bishop g5 is obviously not the end of the world. I can just let him take, and I take back and castle. But it's important not to play knight f6 after bishop g5. Bishop g5 is playable because of the pin. However, if he does not play this move, then I will play knight f6, I will castle, and what am I going to do immediately after I do those two moves? Anybody? This should be an easy one. Let's just say that White plays very average looking moves. What's my first move I'm going to do after knight f6 and castle? This should be an easy one. I see a very divided chat between c5 and rook e8, and it is definitely rook e8. My rook wants to show up on the e-file ASAP. Not only will I have threats against the queen, but also the king, and maybe both of them at once. So definitely rook e8 is the move I want to do ASAP. It's not that c5 is bad, but nothing comes before rook e8. This looks like another move that basically wastes time here. c6, and the queen has to leave, so let's do that. c6 is also a really useful move for me. So not really going to spend any more time than we have to here. c6 defends my center, and such a beautiful pawn structure there. Queen has to move, and then I'm going to get these moves in really quickly. Okay, and what has my opponent done this game? Queen move, queen move, queen move. That's a lot of queen moves. I'm not gonna even entertain anything other than the most obvious moves possible. Night out. castle, and I mean, look at what's happening. My opponent just moved their queen again. This is not a good sign. That's a lot of queen moves. All right, another queen move. Hits my pawn on g7. Castling makes so much sense. The only reason I'm even going to pause for half a second here is because I want to make sure bishop h6 I have a nice solid answer to. And I think I do. After bishop to h6, I think I can just play knight g4, which interposes the queen's line on the g file. And knight g4 even hits the bishop with the knight. So castling is a no-brainer here, but I did just want to double check bishop h6. I could play knight h5 there or knight e8 just to defend the pawn, but knight g4 looks extremely good. So again, not going to think twice. What move do I want to play ASAP? Rook e8. Rook e8 is the move that creates all the threats, but when I see the queen here, I'm also, of course, looking at knight e4, which hits the queen, bishop d6, which hits the queen. So many moves. White should not be moving their queen this much, but I think they might be getting punished here. You cannot get away with this. All right, what did I tell you? I had a feeling it was going to be bishop there. All right, time for knight g4. That hits the bishop, and I'll be honest, guys, knight g4 has yet another tricky idea. First of all, it's defended by the bishop. I'm threatening to take this, but most importantly, I'm threatening to do that. However, I'm also threatening bishop h4, which hits the queen and hits the pawn behind it. So knight g4 comes with some nasty, nasty intentions. And once the bishop moves, of course, the e-file opens up for all the pieces. And why are these moves not normal? Like the moves that I'm threatening, why are these not normally found in chess games? Well, because by this point, white's queen shouldn't even be on g3. White's knight should be on f3. White should be castled. But there's so many basic things that are missing from this position that all of a sudden, I'm threatening some of the weirdest tactics you've ever seen. But this is all off the back of white moving their queen way too many times in the opening and really just going for, you know, one move threats. Not good enough. So white needs to move the bishop. That much is clear. Bishop d2, and what was I saying about that move, right? Bishop h4 should be destructive here. I believe that rook e8 might also be a very, very good move here because it threatens bishop h4 to hit the queen and check the king. So I am also looking at rook e8, but really not sure which one of those moves I'd like to do. I think starting with rook e8 is honestly kind of smart. I think it is smart because this is a crushing move, like because we're attacking the king. And if white makes a move like this to interpose the rook, then we have bishop h4 anyway. And I played my rook here and you brought your knight there. So I think it might be kind of worth it for me. Rook e8, bishop h4. Both insanely good moves. I'm spoiled because I have too many good choices. It's a good thing at the end of the day. Yeah, I think no matter what, bringing another piece into the attack will always be a good thing. So I am going to do this. Also, if he plays bishop e3, then this comes with even more devastating effect, or just knight takes e3, because we'd win even more material, actually. So, yeah, it's not like I've forgotten about bishop h4, but I'm threatening it next turn. No matter what move he does, I can play bishop h4, and it will be winning for black. We haven't forgotten about it. But white has only moved 2 pieces this entire game. This move is an opportunity for white to move a different piece, and I think he should take it. So I think playing this move really worked out based on the move that we see, because now I'm doing the exact same threat, except it's check, so I definitely win the queen. So I think our little experiment here has been worth it. But again, 2 pieces developed. Other than that, only pawn moves. Not a good sign for white here. It's move 10, and there's almost nothing developed. Tough to find a move. I mean, this is check, so knight e2, bishop e2 still seem like the best ideas. Of course, king d1 could be played. But finally, we see another piece developed, which secretly, you know, the teacher in me is happy for him. Moving another piece. I think just taking the queen. I mean, the only other option would be taking on f2, but I don't see any special reason why we should want to do that. Like, if the queen takes, then we just lose 2 pieces for the queen instead of just 1. So, yeah, I mean, we earned this material. Let's take it. Let's take it. Takes back. Now, again, knight's attacked for real this time. I think knight e3 makes the most sense. Just keeping the pressure on the position. Couple threats here, and if you take, then the dark squares are going to be super weak, and something like queen g5 next turn, or queen e7, just keeping the pin, looks very convincing. So queen g5, queen b6, queen e7, these all moves look all like amazing. White needs to develop, so I'm hoping that we see some knights move here for white. Maybe some other moves are playable, but okay, finally we see knight move. That is a good sign in general. I'm looking at queen e7 because it has a very simple threat. Knight c3 would be the move that deals with that. And that does look playable. Looks fine. Well, queen e7, I think I'm going to go for here. Queen attacking that pawn. I think king f2 always looks really good for white. So, yeah, queen e7 definitely feels the best here. We'll just make a simple threat. Yeah, I was wondering whether he was going to play knight e5. Knight e5 is definitely a mistake because f6 just kicks the knight out and we will win material. Could also take this pawn, but f6 is very tempting. The other tempting move is queen b4. Queen b4, you know, the king moves, and then rook takes e2, queen b2 is an idea, but also queen d4 with some discovered attack possibilities. So I'm kind of looking at queen b4 here. Ultimately, though, I think queen b4, knight d2. That kind of holds everything together. The king has the king moved here? Man, queen b4 is actually getting more and more tempting the more I look at the position. f6 is so simple and so good here. King there, we just take and take, and literally the material will be a queen and a bishop for a rook. So we're gonna be way ahead, but I'm not gonna lie, queen b4 is looking insanely tempting because once we take on d4, this knight is completely undermined as well. So queen b4, if the king goes here or here, I mean, we just take this and we're winning a rook, which is better than f6. After knight c3, queen takes b2, looks like it wins the house. Knight d2 is kind of the best, I would say the best looking move. And then queen takes b2, the rook is hit. King f2. Queen d4. I feel like it gets a little messy. Very close in my opinion between this move and this move. But ultimately f6 is simple and completely fine. So, all right. Queen b4. Queen b4 is one of those moves where almost every option that white has looks like a horrible mistake and like would work out poorly. But if they choose the best one, then I think it's possible f6 here is just much better. Obviously, no need to spend that much time on a move like this when you're playing a rapid game, but because I know we're already completely winning, I'm really trying to, play the best moves, find the best moves. So I actually think this is so close. Which one is better? I think I made the right decision though. It's a very simple move. If the knight moves, I win the piece. Can't complain about this. King here to hit the rook is the only option I can see that at least makes things remotely tricky. And then I'll just take here and take on e5. And the whole rug kind of gets swept from under my opponent's feet here. Because you lose your only pieces that you have developed, you basically lose in this line. So this all came from an exchange French. Isn't that insane to think about? An exchange French. The hell? Okay, knight c3. So I think we don't blink here. We just take a free piece, and pawn takes pawn next will be potentially more free pieces. Queen takes e5 looks killer, but I'm also looking at d4 first. d4, I guess there's knight d1, so yeah, maybe not. Okay, so pawn d4 now is an absolutely destructive move because if the knight moves, rook takes e2. I assumed that we would see castling, d4, however, I don't think it's as good as we think here. Bishop c4 check can be thrown in, and if I take this knight later, I might even get like mated in some weird way. So I gotta be super careful. This move is available, but so is this one. They both accomplish the same thing, winning 2 pieces for a rook. Which one do we like? Probably the one that ruins the pawns. However, it's important to notice that after we end up with our queen on e2, rook e1, he wants to go rook e8 check, but we have queen to h5. And that's the lifesaver right there. So let's do this. It's the same thing as taking on e2, except white's pawn would be here instead of there. I think it matters. And rook there, queen h5, covering e8. Even though I have no other pieces developed, I'm up an insane amount of material here. Yeah, we could also just take, but if we can keep the material, why not? There was no check available for me. And yeah, here he wants to kick me off that square. I have these 2 moves which would remain defending it. And if I want, I also have queen g5, which is a check. Both of those, or all of the above, would keep the position under control. So I think we'll choose the check. I have to watch out for rook e8 next, which means my next move is probably going to be bishop d7. Just get developed here. My priority now is just get all my pieces off the last rank. Even though these aren't, you know, the 2 most desirable squares for these 2 pieces, it truly doesn't matter where I put them. As long as they get off the back rank, no stress. c4, probably just knight a6. Developing here is so important. Then the rook will come out, and any trade will be pretty much lost for my opponent. Obviously, with white not having any pieces left and 2 sets of doubled pawns, it's fairly hopeless. Knight a6, knight c5, knight a4, or even knight e4. Those are the plans. He's spending some time here, or maybe he's, with his 1-bar connection, spending some time away from his computer. Either way. Okay, king b2. Really not a bad move. King on a dark square when I have a light squared bishop. Once again, not gonna think twice. Knight a6, I must develop my pieces. I finally have. And this might walk into a knight a4 in the future. We'll see. The thing is, he just doesn't have like high quality moves to play here. That they're just not on the board, so I can't really fault him for the decisions he's making. Let's bring the knight in. He's got only a king and rooks to move, so not many options. And yeah, he's quite literally just shuffling because, yeah, there's not much to do. Knight a4 and knight e4 both look amazing here. No matter which one I do, I think he's going to play rook d3. Because rook e3 is not possible, and king b2 is not possible after knight a4. So rook d3 is the move. And yeah, what do we want to do after that? I think I'll start with knight a4. So rook d3, yeah, basically forced. Okay, interesting. So not as forced as I thought. It's true that after knight takes c3, king b2, I actually don't really have a tremendous follow-up. But what I do have in this position is I have the move c5, which I like. Defends my knight, which is easy to miss, and attacks the rook. The rook will have to leave d4. So probably now it will actually go to d3. Again, another, I would say, fairly tricky move by my opponent. Like, he's throwing a lot of intermezzo moves in there. I'm impressed. After queen takes h4, however, even though I think he was thinking that he takes d5 now, not only is that move off limits because of knight takes c3, but a whole new rook is hanging here, so white only really has one move, which is rook d1 to guard it, but then knight c3 actually does happen, and it's even worse than before. I also just noticed that my opponent's username is Ping Mike, and of course he has really poor ping. Very high ping. Let's take. And now that it's kind of been narrowed down, I think we'll be able to win pretty quickly. Rook takes d5, queen e1, queen b4, and then activating this rook should be the quickest way. Yeah, rook d1 is covered now, so I think this will be the quickest way to deliver checkmate. The king goes back, and then I just need this rook to deliver mate. And the bishop covers d1, so can't even retreat. Rook e1 will be checkmate. c3 maybe delays it for a very, very short while, but I would find it impressive if my opponent wasn't mated in the next couple of moves here. I'm up too much material. I have an extra queen, an extra bishop, and this king is going to be hunted down. But it's important to remember, even in these positions, like, you know, I could have used my queen and just started taking pawns and making another queen. It's like, yeah, that's winning for sure. But the most effective way to checkmate will always be to just bring every single one of your pieces into the attack. Even if you don't know exactly what you're doing, if you're up a ton of material, you just bring all your pieces into the game. If your opponent only has a rook, they're never going to be able to defend against you with a rook, queen, a bishop, whatever. So, nice game. Nice game. I'll take a KO there. The reason why I'll take a KO there is because that was the French exchange. And I tell you, the French exchange, you don't get enough credit in that opening. You really don't. This is what it looked like. As you can see, my opponent getting credit 81.8 in terms of their performance in this game. Now, what I will say is that chess.com has a thing where if you play well, you get a high accuracy. And if you play poorly, you get a low accuracy. Is everyone with me so far? Does that make sense? All right. Now, if you play super, super well, then you get banned. And if you play super, super poorly, then you also get a high accuracy. Is everyone still with me? So if you play really, really bad, what happens is you don't have any pieces left to blunder. You can't make any more low quality moves. In fact, your position becomes so bad that as soon as you touch a piece and make a legal move, it's a good move because your position sucks. Every move you make will be good. So it's possible to play so bad that all of a sudden your accuracy goes up again because chess.com's like, wait, this guy's playing every good move. What the hell? This guy's a genius. He's not making any more mistakes. How the hell did he do that? And that's kind of what happened here in this game. Like, Queen E2, not a good move. Queen B5, not a good move. Queen D3, okay, good move, but like, it's because you played these bad moves before. It's like, okay, this is good by comparison. Queen G3, not good. Bishop H6, not good. Bishop D2, good, but only because Bishop H6 was so bad that you had to retreat it next turn, and of course, it's a good move. Now, H3, it actually loses the entire queen here, right? It loses the whole queen, but have a look at this. After Rook E8, the evaluation is -5. I am not ahead anything. It is dead even material, and it's -5. So it's as if I'm up a rook already. White plays the move H3, losing the entire queen, but the evaluation only goes to -6. So even though, of course, it's a huge mistake, there's no, you know, the evaluation doesn't get that much worse. So by comparison, it's not that bad. So that's what I'm saying. When you play so bad, you actually get rewarded by the accuracy system. Because even though you continue to make mistakes, your position is so bad that it's not getting much worse. So, like all these positions, White's getting credit. Hey, good move. Hey, great move. Oh, great move. Knight F3 is best. Yeah, it's best, but it should have been played 20 moves ago. What? There's no like compass for how bad it is that it's move 14 and we're finally playing Knight F3. Knight E5. Okay, inaccurate. Oh, by the way, I'm wondering which move was better. Queen B4 or F6? So, Queen B4, by the way, it says is worse than F6, which was my evaluation. And yet, when I play F6, it tells me it's excellent, but Queen B4 is the best. It's like, what? Okay, Knight C3, another great move. Hanging a piece. Oh, yeah. Rook takes C3, and this is my brilliancy. This move right here. My brilliancy. Quite literally, not even the best move in the position is my brilliancy. But look at all White's moves here. All of them are like the best moves. It's excellent. Oh my god, King B1 is the best move. Oh my god, King B2 is excellent. Wow, King A1 is excellent. Oh, King B1 is excellent. This is what I'm saying. This guy got an 82% accuracy score. He's playing all these excellent moves. They're not excellent. You've got no pieces left. Oh my god, Rook D4 is the best. And then finally, God forbid he makes another mistake. It's like the only mistake possible. And, you know, every move is just going to be fine. So, it's important that everyone understands how the chess.com accuracy system works. You play well, you get good accuracy, high accuracy. You play poorly, you get low accuracy. You play extremely, extremely well, you get banned. You play extremely, extremely poorly, you get a high accuracy. So, the easiest way to get a high accuracy is to just play your worst chess possible. As long as you don't get checkmated in 15 moves, the game's going to go long enough that every move you make is going to start being the best move again. So there you go. It's a little tip for you guys. If anyone's looking to get high accuracy on chess.com, make a bunch of mistakes, blunder pieces, and then stay in the game. As long as you don't get mated in 15 moves. If you play a 20, 30 move game, you'll have high accuracy again. That's my TED Talk on how to get a good chess.com accuracy score. So there you go.